You know what, folks? We're back again. We're back at Champions Bar, and mostly we're back at the Final Four. This is FanHouse TV, David Steele, I'm Terence Moore, and here we are for the Duke-West Virginia game. First question, David, is what do you know about this game? I know you know a lot of things, but what about this game?
Well, yeah, I do know. I like to think I know a lot about the game. What I do know about West Virginia, from having watched them in the Big East all year, watched them in the NCAA tournament so far, Deshaun Butler is the best individual talent in this game, in this semifinal. He's the guy who can take a game over, he can hit winning shots, he feels almost no pressure, and he can beat you in a whole lot of different ways. If he can take that big shot, he's the one guy that whoever they have to play, that any team is going to have to stop.
That's very good, and I'll tell you, I know that Mike Krzyzewski is one of the biggest big game coaches of all time. And this guy is huge. But here's the other thing. This is not one of his most talented teams. So we're going to see whether or not this guy is able to translate all of his knowledge, all of his magic to this team, and I know that he's going to be able to do it. Now, what do you need to know?
I need to know the answer, whether you can answer that question right there. Because like you said, this is not anywhere close to the best teams that they've had.
Yeah.
I mean, he's even admitted that. He's used the word good, very good, never great.
Yeah.
His past champions have been great. His past runner-ups and Final Four teams have been great. This group has not been great over the course of the 4 years or 3 years that they've all been together. They have a lot to prove to rise to the level of the Leitners, the Grant Hills, even the J.J. Reddicks, teams like that. They need to prove that to me.
Well, I'm going to go to West Virginia, and what I need to know is, I need to know whether or not Bob Huggins can resist becoming the young Al McGuire. A guy that was just so emotional on the sidelines in the big game, championship games. He blew that championship game against North Carolina State back in 1974. You look at Bob Huggins on the sidelines, this guy, he's ready to bust. He can't do that. I need to know whether or not he can resist that urge. But you know, I'm going to start with me. I think the key is going to be that trio of sharpshooters.
Yeah.
They're going to have to prove that they can do it against a 1-3-1 zone, okay? Because that's what West Virginia did against Kentucky. The shooting went cold from the outside for the Wildcats in the game. Those sharpshooters are going to have to be on for Duke, otherwise they lose the game.
You know, I have a lot more faith in a couple of those sharpshooters than in one of them in particular. Kyle Singler should have been the leader and the best player on Duke all year long. That's one of the reasons there are still the doubts about him, because he has not been that kind of player. For him to go 0 for 10 in a regional final against Baylor when they're playing zone the whole time, that's just inexcusable. That cannot happen. I need to see whether or not he can step up and be the All-American, the possible player of the year that he should have been this year.
Well, and let's switch to West Virginia. What is the key for West Virginia winning this game?
West Virginia has to play the kind of defense that they played throughout this tournament. What they did against Kentucky was just genius. You know, it's more than just scheme. That was just outstanding execution, going into that zone and taking away everything that Kentucky could have done to beat them. And they played great defense. They were a versatile defensive team. They could beat your man. They could beat your zone. They could beat you in combinations. I think that's going to be enough to beat Duke, but we'll have to see whether they're capable of doing that against a team as good as Duke.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to have to see whether or not West Virginia is going to be able to prove that they can get over this 51-year thing. It was 51 years ago that they were last in this situation. It was Jerry West and all those old-timers. Can they handle the spotlight? We don't know that. I mean, it's not the spotlight as bright as Butler, but it's still a spotlight nonetheless. That being said, who's going to win this game?
I see West Virginia winning. West Virginia, to me, has been the best team in the country, really since the Big East tournament. And they have beaten the best teams along the way as well. Now, I'm not sure that Duke is even as good as the teams that West Virginia has beaten so far. If West Virginia can do to Duke what Baylor was doing to Duke, but just wasn't able to finish the job, because they're a better version of that. Right. They do that, they're going to win this game.
Well, you know, you bring up some very good points. You know what? It's going to be almost heaven, West Virginia. They're going to win it. And Country Road, take me home. We're out of here. We're going to come back next time for AOL FanHouse TV.